Welcome back, y'all. In today's video, I want to do a review on my Suntour Cyclone 7000 aero brake levers that I've been using for quite some time. I want to go over how they have felt, things that I've noticed using them, and if they're worth it if you find them in good condition. Spoiler though, the reason I'm making this video is because these brake levers are actually coming off of this bike build after I post this video, so stick around to find out why. First things first, these brake levers look incredible. I absolutely think they are the peak look aero brake levers should be when going vintage. So it's just non-negotiable for me. It's a 10 out of 10 in the looks department. But here lies the first problem. How it looks does not translate well to how it feels, which this is going to be the main issue I have with these brake levers. Like I've mentioned in the past, these were new old stock and the rubber hoods are like new, so no issues with hardened, crusty sections that don't feel right. But if the shape of the brake levers were a bit different, I think the rubber used for the hoods and the textured design they chose would be comfortable. But just the way the tops of the hoods dip down so much, it's just not a great feel. Here's a comparison to my all-time favorite aero brake levers, the Shimano SLR style. As you can tell, the tops of the hoods don't have that drastic dip like the Suntour brake levers, so it balances the shape of a traditional drop bar shape when transitioning to the tops of the hoods, so it's less of a drastic curve where it's enough to feel great while riding, sprinting, and climbing on the hoods, and it doesn't cause this next issue the Suntour Cyclone brake levers cause. Now you may be asking, why don't I just go with the Shimano 600 aero brake levers? Well, I found these new old stock on eBay, but the seller sent me two lefts and that's all they had left. So luckily they took care of me and refunded me my money. But now I got two new old stock left aero brake levers and I can't even use them. The next issue is the uncomfortable drastic wrist rotation. The way the hoods curve so much down causes me to have to rotate my wrist so far forward. It does cause some wrist pain eventually. Here's an example of what it literally feels like when I'm riding in the hoods. It's just not comfortable and not enjoyable at all. But if you're looking to have your wrist in a more natural position and not extremely rotated forward, you will have a gap under your palm and the webbing on your hand between your thumb and pointer finger, and also the palm area closest to your wrist, will have pressure points because it leaves such a gap under your hand. Next thing that might be noticeable, but I'll point it out specifically, is they are just too thin. Again, how the tops of the hoods dip down in combination of the overall width of the hoods are just too narrow and too small for my hands. I don't have huge hands, don't have small hands, nor medium. I would say they're above medium, but these brake levers just don't work out for grip. I feel like it's as narrow as grabbing a Nintendo 64 game cartridge. And what this winds up causing is lack of control when climbing and sprinting. It makes the front end feel squirrely, as surprising as it sounds. Yes, I got used to them, but it cannot be ignored and just feels like the control isn't 100% there. Now, rebuttal to all this is these were race levers, and riding on the hoods were not the primary position back in the day. And majority of the videos and pics from this era that I seem to find really favor riding on the drops or the tops of the bars and only sometimes the hoods. But again, I'm not racing. Also, after being a veteran with the Shimano SLR aero brake lever models and how they were way more comfortable, it really does trump these levers. So for the aero brake lever position I like to ride in, it can be done, but there is nothing to actually grip and you can only rest your fist on the tops of the hoods. Which means if you're not paying attention and hit a bump, you could put yourself in a loss in control situation as it would bounce your hands off the hoods. A solution I found was putting my pinky under the lever, so there is a way to anchor your hands, but again, this is a compromise in comfort, but at least it's a more safer solution when riding in the aero hood position. The pointed ends of the hoods will push in the middle of your palm, but it doesn't hurt or pitch at all, which is good since the rubber is still on the new, softer side. That being said, when on the drops and reaching for the levers, they feel so much better and such a perfect reach with one finger or two finger braking. The curve towards the bottom are designed perfectly, so I'll give it that. They do not have a return spring, but I've ridden with enough brake levers without return springs to say it's not a necessity. And it more so depends on the quality of brake calipers they are attached to and the cleanliness of the cable and cable housings, which these are attached to the calipers from the Cyclone 7000 line. They are single pivot, but as I mentioned in a previous video, they are more than enough for stopping power, and if I can do stoppies and lock up the rear wheel with not that much effort, I'm not wanting more. Overall, unless you want to be 100% accurate with the vintage bike build, trying to achieve the original aesthetic, or if you find a deal on a really nice pair and there are no other alternatives at the time, they are good but not great. If I had choices, I would not choose these, but with vintage and new old stock parts, sometimes there are chapters of dry spells and the selection is almost non-existent and way overpriced. So I hope you got a thing or two from this review video. Let me know if there's additional details you'd like to ask me, and feel free to leave them in the comments below. Again, I appreciate you watching this video, joining me here, leaving a like and subscribing. And as always, I'll catch you in the next video.